Welcome. I'm Cynthia Hoven of Eurythmy Online, featuring Eurythmy as a personal practice. This is webinar series, Eurythmy as vaccine support. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm Cynthia Hoven, and this is the beginning of our new webinar series, which we're calling the Vaccine Support Series. I hope that many of you are already familiar with Eurythmy. My co-host on these webinars is Michelle, and she is writing into the text, into the chat box, and inviting you to write your names and also to let me know if you have already done Eurythmy and if you've done Eurythmy in these webinars, because I believe there are some of you who are new to this process. So, as always, at the conclusion of this webinar, I will save the recording and I will post it later. And this one I'll post on YouTube. And I will also have a PDF, a document that tells how to do these exercises in careful explanation. I have a description of each of the exercises that we're going to do today, and also a description of how to build your own eurythmy practice. And whether you have been doing these exercises with me for months or whether you're new, I'd like to remind you that when we're doing these hygienic, the so-called health-sustaining, health-building series, our intention is to really imprint forces of health, structuring forces of grounding and centering and well-being into our constitution, into our astral body, the so-called emotional body, into our life body, the etheric body, into the physical body. And that requires a certain commitment on everybody's part, on your part, that you take up these exercises as a daily practice. And because these are specifically geared for the time when you probably will be getting your vaccine, I'm going to assume that most of you will be doing that in this period. It's important for you to do these exercises every day. And I'm even going to invite you to do this short series twice a day. Let me step back for a moment and tell you a little bit more about how this series came into being. One of you said to me, why don't we do this next series to support people who are getting their vaccines? We've heard it said that it can be difficult to get the vaccine. I didn't find that when I got the vaccine. I had perhaps a small tenderness on my arm, but it didn't throw me off at all. And I'm hoping for all of you when you get it, assuming that you do, that you'll go through it as easily as I do. But the point is that we need to really work on our resilience. Actually, whether we get the vaccine or not, we have to work on our inner resilience. So after this person suggested that perhaps we can do this series for vaccine support, I turned to a colleague of mine, Dr. Ross Rentea, who is an anthroposophical physician in Chicago. And he has worked for decades with supporting people's health out of the wisdom of anthroposophical medicine. Dr. Rentea has also fostered a very deep and intensive relationship with eurythmy through all of the years of his work. And so I turned to him because he has some real expert insight into this. He also, and I want to bring you this information before we go further, he also has listed to me, to many of you on his own webinars, about the nutritional supplements, the herbal anthroposophical supplements that we can do, that I did, to support yourself as you're going to get any vaccine, including this vaccine. I included the notes about that in the PDF that you're going to get. But the recommendation is, you'll see, you don't have to write it down, that you take a medicine called Tuja. That's a kind of like a relative of the pine tree family. And also a new one that maybe not everyone has heard of yet, that you take formic acid. And he works with a manufacturing facility, this very small one that does high quality medicines. And those medicines are available through his company, through his website. And also, at least one of the other anthroposophical pharmacies in the United States, Uriel Pharmacy, also makes these medicines. So be sure to download the PDF and you can get that information. Now, what does that have to do with eurythmy? You are instructed to take these medicines for 2 weeks before you get your vaccine and 2 weeks after. And if you get either the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccines, you should also take it in the intervening time, which could be 5 or 6 weeks. I did that. That's fine. And perhaps that really helped me with the robustness that I have. The picture, as Dr. Rentea explained to me, is that in an inflammatory disease, also in the pseudo-inflammatory symptoms that you might have and you might not, if you get the vaccine, what happens, he said literally, that the ego is kind of lifted out or pushed away from its normal relationship to the etheric body. And with these medicines, we're going to help to bring the etheric body and the ego back into their rightful relationship. So that is supported by those medicines, but that's actually exactly what these eurythmy exercises are going to do. Therefore, even as you take the medicines 3 times a day, I want you to do these exercises at least twice a day. They won't take long, but you can look at them as a very friendly practice that you do for your own self. Some of the exercises that we're going to do are already familiar to some of you. And I'm going to really work our way rather vigorously and quickly into these exercises, not building them up quite as consequently as I've done in the previous lessons. But I believe that even for the newcomers, I'll be giving you enough information and inspirational pictures that you'll be able to keep up with us. So let's begin. You go back and find your place in the room. We always want a warm-up exercise, and I like to start with the exercise, weight bears downwards and light streams upwards. So I stand quietly in my space, and I remember my intention. That means I have to forget dishes, bookkeeping, whatever else there is. I am here. My spirit is taking care of my body. Now, I'm going to strengthen my relationship to gravity by stepping to the right and to the left. And I notice I'm making a kind of triangle. That triangle has its point above my heart. So I feel the strength of this triangle, and I imagine my etheric body, some of you might call that the chi body, going deep into the earth, 10 feet, 15 feet down, so that if I were to push you, I couldn't push you over. As you feel this, you imagine this to be the deep, dark color of navy blue, and feel weight bears downwards. This is a meditation on gravity. And now we'll add the complementary picture. And from here, this point below the solar plexus, you're going to move your arms upwards. Let them be exactly as wide as your legs are. Don't look upwards. Hold your head straight forward, but feel as if you have a crown of light around your head. Nice straight lines. Your arms are weightless. Your legs are mighty. And you feel light streams upward. And the final touch for this is you feel where these two triangles overlap in your chest area in a diamond shape that contains your heart and the solar plexus. And you feel that's really the center of yourself. You're feeling heart, and you feel in the middle, I hold the balance. And release, and release. So each time you do your practice, you'll do that 3 times. Again, step to the right and step to the left and feel weight bears downwards. A blue triangle, and above your light triangle is yellow. Light streams upwards. And you would be ripped apart if you didn't feel your center holding the two. In the middle, I hold the balance. And release, and release. And one more time, step to the right and step to the left. Weight bears downwards. Light streams upward. In the middle, I hold the balance. And release, and release. A moment of self-reflection tells you that you're already in a more centered consciousness than you were when you started. Be quiet in yourself. And the next exercise I want to do is familiar to many of you. I want to do the one that's called angel wings. And for those of you who are new, I'll explain that much of our tension is created by being too nervous, too overstimulated by our senses. And we need to remember how to let go and how to feel that we have a dimension of freedom, access to, I call this the night space, the dark space, the back space behind us. And so we're going to do our first meeting with that backspace with this exercise we call angel wings. You see how I have lifted my arms? I try to keep my shoulders relaxed, not hunched. I lift my arms. I cross my hands above my head. And now I imagine my arms to be like the great white wings of a bird. And I'm going to lower my arms wide. And I hope you can feel how wonderful that is in your scapula and your shoulder blades. Now I have my arms folded back here, hand over hand, and then I lift them as if my arms are as free as the wings of the herons that are in the trees by my home now, as free as the wings of the geese, the snow geese, the swans as they migrate, great white wings. Now, as you do this, imagine that you can see yourself from behind. And that will help you even more to become conscious of your backspace. And as you do that, now that you know what you're doing, you don't have to look at the screen anymore. Let your gaze go soft. Don't shut your eyes, but have a soft gaze and just feel what's happening behind you. And try to imagine your white wings swooping elegantly through the sky and down and up. And with that, we'll complete the exercise. And perhaps you can feel you've got less tension in your back, in your neck right now. I hope so. And I warmly invite you to do that as many times a day as you like. Now, friends, we're going to proceed to the exact series that Dr. Rentea recommended, but we won't do it in its entirety. We're only going to do part of it today. We're going to do an exercise with the sounds E, A, and L. But we'll repeat them a few times. We'll do T, A, L, A, L, A, T. And then at the end, we'll do the sound E. As we go through them, I'll explain the pictures that we're working with and also their effectiveness for you. We're going to do this entire series of sounds 3 times. We begin with the sound T. The prelude, I'll fold my hands here. Take a look. This is a resting position that we often use in eurythmy therapy so that the arms aren't just hanging formlessly. I hold them here in lightness. We'll begin with the sound T. With the sound T, remember you don't speak. You just copy this movement. You start low, you go large, you go high. You are gathering forces of spirit light from all the dimensions around you. And then you put the backs of your hands together, T, and bring them right into the crown of your head. In doing so, I'll move my hand. You stay as you are. I want you to feel that all the spirit light enters your body as you are bringing these spiritual health-bringing forces right into yourself, uniting yourself with your archetypes. That's how the exercise begins. Now we're going to do the sound A. Many of you know that's the sound of Mars. And the A, and I want to give you a specific word here, it connects, it imprints your ego into your etheric body very powerfully, brings you back to yourself if you've been shocked out. So here we go. We're going to do 5 A's. A, A. And I'm laying my hands strongly against each other. A, A, A. I lay my hands here again. Now we'll do the sound L. The sound, and I'll do 3 times L. Lifting and opening. Now, if there are newcomers, we know you need to be coached through this. I'm going from this middle position down into darkness, into midwinter, into the depths of the earth. And then I put my hands together, and as if a tree is rising, as if life forces are rising and overcoming darkness, I lift my hands to the light. At the very top, when I can go no further, I open them like a rainbow unfolding between my hands, like a great oak tree spreading its branches in spring. Winter comes again. And this is our 3rd L. L. Put my hands together. And now I'm going to do 5 A's again, but this time with my leg. I'm going to cross one leg over the other and squeeze them tight so that I'm imprinting my ego into my etheric body in my lowest will. And A, squeeze. And A, really tight. A, and A. Relax. And again, 3 times L. As if you have a tree that's going to grow. Don't let your arms release until you reach the top. Palms are up until you reach the horizon here. Then you turn them down, curve your arms as deep as you can without bending, high as you can, open, and again. Down, up, round, unfold. And release. And again. A. 5 times. A. 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 And then we conclude this by repeating another big T, bringing all these forces right into you. T. And before you let go, vividly imagine that this light, as strong as a bolt of lightning, is coming right down through you. And it's as if there are a series of golden cups, golden vessels at all the chakra points that are catching this light like golden chalices. And now at the conclusion of this, we're going to do the sound E. Having imprinted the ego into your constitution, you're going to let your selfhood shine from your heart upwards and downwards. Let me repeat that one just so I can be sure you see. Start at your heart. Your hands move with equal speed, one down and one up. Your heart holds the balance between polarities. This is the ego manifesting its power to be conscious even in the midst of polarities that otherwise would pull us apart. And rest. This is the series as we're going to begin it in this first week. Let's do it again 2 more times. We begin with T. And A 5 times. A. A. You don't speak it. A. 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 Beautiful, life-giving L. The sound of the healthy etheric body. L. 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 Now A with your legs 5 times. A. 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 Bring strength all the way down into the lower will. Sound of the healthy etheric body. And up. And up. Now, once again, we imprint the A, 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 A. You see how very decisively I do that. And then the T. From the depths to the heights, E. And feel it strike right through your body, right like a bolt of lightning into the earth. Come to your center. And from the center, shine in E. And just to be sure, it's fine if you do E with the right arm or the left arm up. All right? And I want to do it a third time. This time I won't speak. And with that, I want you to notice how the practice really looks, because when you do it, you shouldn't speak at all. Thank you. Now, in addition to this, I want to emphasize for you that a very important exercise that we should also do is the reverence exercise, which many of you have done with me more than once. This is the exercise that was specifically given to strengthen our forces of immunity. And so let's remember this. I would like to ask you to do this one, especially before you go to sleep at night. The other series you should do twice a day, but this one especially at night. Right now, we'll do it 5 times. You come forwards with this gesture of reverence, with the gesture of amazement, and then when we think of the stars and think of the spirits and think of our guiding angels, your gaze is soft now as you focus on feeling and imagining all the stars in the night sky shining into you from behind. My gaze is still empty until I really feel I've reached my heels. And now I look forwards again, but I look forwards feeling that I have wings. And again, I forget my wings for just a moment as I come here. I love the world. And on my wings, unfold in the backspace. My gaze is soft. Don't look at the computer. Open the eyes in your back and feel your way all the way down to the floor. A third time. Inwardly, you hear the sound. Ah, create it with your movement, this really beautiful angle. And then with your shoulder blades, ah, using your angelic wings, you feel the backspace. All the way down to your heels. 2 more times. Ah. Yes, I feel like I've been polished in my back. And as we spoke of before, when you finish your eurythmy practice, focus on what you've done. If you're able to, at the end of your practice, you should lie down for 3, 5, 10 minutes. But in this moment, I'm just going to center myself and then really make my transition back to the computer screen deliberately. Like this, I say, all right, I'm ready. And now I become every day again. But back there, I was working with the chi, with the etheric of the whole space around me and into myself. Thank you. The PDF explains everything that we did perfectly. Only difference is that I ask you in the PDF to do the reverence 7 times, not just 5. If there are any urgent questions, Michelle can feed them to me, and otherwise we'll close for this evening. Michelle?
So 2 quick questions. Joyce asked, the blue triangle point is just above the heart. Where is the yellow triangle point, please?
Just below the solar plexus.
Excellent. Christine asked, if I don't plan to get the vaccine, I wonder which exercises I should do. Are there any that would be irrelevant to those not getting the vaccine?
Actually not. And no, actually not. And also, in addition to that, Christine, you have a whole host of other exercises. I would recommend that you stick with the planets and maybe with the other immune support series that we've worked on a couple of times. The PAL is something that you're welcome to practice with us here every week. It's certainly good for you, and it, as I said, it brings the ego into the etheric body. Not irrelevant, but I also really recommend to you the other work that we've been doing together. You've been working so hard with these things.
Beautiful. And then last question, Karen asked, when you do the T, do you bend the knee a little?
No, I will just check to be sure. Do I do that organically? They're soft. They're just soft, but they're not bent. Soft knees as I go up. Just a little bit soft. I don't want to show you my legs, but just like that. Not like that. Just a tiny bit.
Sorry, I should mute myself when I get tickled. Oh, okay. Oh, and Joan asked, will there be a video sent of these movements?
Yes, you will get the link after this. That's the benefit of having registered, that you get the PDF, and that will take you to the link.
Okay.
It takes me a little bit of time after every class to prepare the video. You have to run it through processing and do all these things that I've had to learn to become a webinar leader. But yeah, go get it.
Okay, there we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. And I'll see you next week. And I hope this is serving you. Goodbye for now.